Those aunties and uncles aren't going to be in your marriage with you. They aren't going to sleep on your marriage bed with you. They aren't going to push out those kids with you. They're not going to go through the financial troubles with you. So don't use that as a reason to step into anything.
Also, just look at their marriage.
And
Alright, hey guys, welcome back to our channel. It's Mina and Jen, and actually today we're gonna talk about basically the pressure to get married before 30. One of us here is not, and one of us here is. She is married, and I am not. But we both felt the pressure, so
yes. And we both done the 30s.
Yeah, exactly. So it's on its way, but I think we both felt the pressure. Basically, you know what happens in an African household. You grow up, you're pretty much told not to date. You don't know. You shouldn't be talking to boys.
Yeah.
You shouldn't know who boys are. Focus on your sex.
And it's not just African households. Like
That's
I feel like
true.
African, Caribbean.
That's
like,
true.
Also, like certain, like maybe like people who are Muslim. I feel like a lot of people who are Muslim have that same pressure too. Like I know people who I went to college with, and it's like they're on baby number 3, and I'm like, whoa, they literally got married as soon as they left college, and it's like it's almost like it felt like to me that a lot of them it was like a give and take. Like you can go to college, but as soon as you're done, you better get married, you know. And I feel like that pressure is so real. Like I remember the first time I was like, whoa, I was kind of taken aback. It's like all throughout high school, you know how like African parents like don't date, you know, focus on your book, focus on your book.
Yep.
All of a sudden I get to college, my dad asked me like, okay, so who are you?
Exactly. Come on, how am I even going to be talking to somebody when you said keep your
Like when did that transition happen? I'm like, so I went from not dating, now you want to know who I'm finna marry? Like for real, I just started college.
But my other thing about it is, why are you asking me as a woman, when am I gonna get married? When I am not proposing!
Yeah.
I do not get to propose! I am literally asked and I get to say yes or no. So there's nobody who is propositioning me for a marriage. Please don't be in my face asking me when I'm gonna get married. It is none of your business, but it's also not even up to me in that regard.
No, that's real. That's real. And I feel like a lot of people, and I guess just saying African just because that's where we're from. We're both from Ghana. And I feel like because of that, like there's just like this sense that like, you know, and I felt it too, like I feel like I'm educated, we've both been to grad school, and it's like literally that does not matter as much in the community as being married. Which to me is
who
ridiculous.
cares?
Yes!
Studying? Who cares?
That's so rude!
Where's that? That's like, but what does a ring really say about you as a person?
Yes.
It doesn't say anything. That's not to say I don't want to get married, but that is just to say, please stop putting this.
There's more to aim for in life.
Bro.
I'm sorry, if I was able to accomplish everything and I wasn't married, I wouldn't say, oh, I'm not successful. But honestly, that's how like a lot of African people think. Like that's their mentality. Like you can have everything, but if you're not, oh, she's not married. I literally went to an event like last year. This was before I made it public that like I was engaged. And someone, literally this old lady, she was like, she had to be 40 in her like mid to late 40s, and she was like, ooh, how old are you? Oh, by your age, I was proposed to. And this other lady next to this older like auntie was like, oh yeah, and I was proposed at.
Alright.
Like, are you comparing yourself to me? Like you are like 25 years my senior. Why are you comparing yourself to me?
Busy getting into medical
Bruh,
school.
like, do we not understand? Why are we friends?
Also, the ones who be asking be the ones in failing marriages or like unhappy or you know what I mean?
I'm
Why
glad
are you
you said
misery likes company?
I'm glad
You want to
you
push me
said
into a marriage
it.
before I'm ready, just so I can be miserable like you and we can all be part of the Bitter Wives Club.
You know,
why?
one thing I always say is like, I'm not gonna take advice from someone who I don't want the same life.
Okay.
You know what I'm saying? Like, you sitting at home, you're not really doing much with your life.
You have
doing creeping out, maybe not. You
You
know.
don't make marriage look good.
Yeah.
You don't make it look sweet.
Yeah.
You don't make it look like it's something that I should want for my life.
Exactly.
Because you look stressed.
Exactly.
You are unhappy. I mean, let's not even get into the like, you know, the explicit part of it. But just in general, can you communicate with your husband? Like, can he communicate with you? Do you guys actually view each other as life partners, or was this just a transactional relationship?
Yeah.
And oftentimes, especially for like our parents' generation and that be before them, a lot of their relationships are based on transactions, and it's quite unfortunate. And
it was that time, like it was time to get
it was time, and they just settled for the person that
like, okay, you there, I'm here, you know.
It's like you didn't get your top pick, you just settled for, you know, the last pickings, which is
And I actually talked to females, like African females, and talking to me about like how on their wedding day they knew they were marrying the right person, and that like
sick,
bruh, like that's so scary.
That
to
is
me.
sad.
Like,
and you said yes.
Yes, that's what's crazy, and it's like that just shows how much that pressure is there. You know, it's like there's so much pressure to get married, and it's like you're not thinking, and like back to what I said about like looking at people like someone might get married at 19, and that could be great for them. That could be great for what they want to do. Maybe, you know, they don't want to do certain things. They don't want to go back to school. They don't want to start a business. They don't want to do this. So it's like, not to say that marriage blocks your blessings, blocks you from being, like, you know, effective or productive, but just to say that, like, my path is different than someone else's path. And if I know I'm not trying to do what they did, like, I'm not really trying to follow the same path that they took, you know?
And
so
people are asking the wrong questions. They're not even asking the right things. They're asking, when are you going to get married? But not, are you prepared for marriage?
Yes.
Are you prepared?
Have you found someone you love? Why don't you ask me that first?
Right. Y'all not asking the right questions. And then people are in relationships not knowing how to communicate, not knowing how to be there for each other, not knowing how to sacrifice, expecting it all to be one way and not expecting it to be a compromise. Be honest with yourself. Marriage is a big compromise. And if you can't even do that, there's no reason for you to be trying to meld your one life with another person to become one. That makes absolutely
I feel like
no
some
sense.
people really think that, like, you know, even if the relationship is in turmoil, like, marriage is gonna be the fix it. Like, oh, marriage is gonna be the tie that binds and it's gonna make everything okay. And I'm like, I can't tell you that's not the case.
Do you realize, like, once you've said yes, you cannot just willy-nilly walk away.
Yeah.
If there's a problem, you gotta stay there and fix it. And the thing is, you're walking into this marriage with problems already that you're unwilling to solve, thinking that a certificate will fix it.
Yeah.
Does that even make any sense to you? Does that make any sense to you?
It doesn't make any sense. And people don't realize, like, I feel like marriage amplifies everything. So, like, if you had a fight, like, pre-marriage, that same fight post-marriage is going to be even bigger. Like, the same way, like, in a good sense, too, like, the love and the bond that you had, like, pre-marriage, like, is going to be intensified and greater post-marriage, because it's like you have that security, you have, like, that bond, that connection. So it's like, if you have a struggling relationship, it's going to be even worse after you get married for the most part. You know, there are exceptions to everything, but it's like, you just can't assume that marriage is gonna fix everything, you know? And why are, like, our aunties and our uncles more worried about us being married than they're worried about us being happy? Like, they don't ask you, like, oh, do you think you're gonna be happy with this person? Do you think no, they're not worried about that, you know?
Next thing you know, you're pushing people into abusive relationships. You're pushing them into one-sided things. Like, it's just not good. And even for me, I do feel like I definitely felt the pressure, but it was more so on something that I envisioned for my life. So by 25, I had my first kid. Bro, I'm 27 now.
Oh, no.
Like, At some point, I remember thinking, I was a teacher too, and I remember thinking, I never want to have kids. Can you imagine? Like, think about this. You as a 22-year-old, it's not going to be you as a 27-year-old. You need to be patient with yourself. You also need to give yourself time to grow into the person you've always wanted to be. So, like, taking it back to Insecure, right? So one of the things that happened with Insecure is Issa and Lawrence, like, Lawrence took a lot of the heat because of the stuff he wasn't doing, but one thing about Issa was her life wasn't where she wanted it to be either. And these two people were gonna get married. Like, he was going ring shopping when he got his ish together, but Issa hated her job. Her friendships weren't working out. Her life wasn't together. That kind of person in a relationship, it's just not good. It's not healthy, because now they don't know who they are and they're coming into something where you're expected to be strong in yourself in order to help carry someone else along on their journey. So work on yourself.
It's something I heard recently. Someone was like, you know, if you don't know who you are, if you're not secure in who you are, how do you think you can make a relationship succeed? Like, how do you think you don't even know what makes you mad? Like, you don't know what makes you upset. You don't know what makes you happy. You don't know what you like, what you don't like why you are the way you are. And how, like, if you are confused by you, how is someone else not supposed to be, like, how?
You're expecting your life partner, literally, if you live the average human lifespan up to 80 years old, you're going to be spending the next, how old are we? We're almost 30.
Forever is a long time.
That's 50 years.
Forever is a long time.
It's a long time, and y'all not really thinking about what that means. That means if this man literally cannot get up in the morning and put his pants on, you are going to be the one to do it. And even if he, you know, I'm not even going to go there, but basically, you need to be that person's person. From till death do you part. Nobody goes into marriage wanting to get divorced. And the problem is, people don't think about, well, am I going to be the type of person who's going to be able to be there for this person while I'm working on my own stuff? The thing is, we're not complete. We're never going to be complete. We're always going to be working on ourselves, right? So you need to be ready to do that alongside someone else. And if you're not even willing to confront the really ugly parts of your own self, how do you expect for someone else to deal with that? That is just so unfair and so unrealistic. So please, stop pressuring people to get into marriages.
There's no, like, I feel like we should take it out of our mind that, like, oh, you need to get married by 30. Because this is something I've told so many of my friends, and I've always told them, like, you're rushing, right? Like, this period in our 20s or early 30s, it seems like it's so important, so long, but I'm telling you, when you get to 45, the difference between 23 and 25 and 26 and 27 and even 29 and 32 are going to seem so small.
Bruh,
So
I was
small.
just talking to my friend the other day. I was like, bruh, I'm the same distance from 22 as I am from 32.
Yeah.
22, Jennifer, I don't even want to go back there. But like, I mean, at that point I thought, oh, I'm great. No, I'm looking back, I'm like, girl, you were struggling. And like, I'm looking forward to what's ahead. Like, I'm thankful that 22-year-old Jennifer was not in a marriage with anybody.
Oh God,
because that would have been so bad. That would have been so bad. Like, so unable to like just express what I'm feeling, or like, if I'm upset, say that I'm upset. It's a very, like, for some people it's very easy. Like for Mina, she can say what's bothering her on an instant, right? But that's something that I had to struggle through and figure out that I have the ability to do that. But that's not someone else's burden to bear.
Yeah.
I'm glad that I was able to unlearn that behavior myself, because now I feel more empowered in whatever relationships I'm in, my friendships, my familyhood, all of that stuff. I'm gonna say if something's bothering me because I own that right. But like, people are gonna, like, some people go into their marriages without ever confronting that part of them.
And the thing is, you teach people how to love you. So if you don't know, like, how to love you, or if you don't love you, no one else can, like, uplift you. Even if they try, like, they will never, like, for me, if I don't feel like I'm looking like it don't matter what you say. I just don't feel like, you know what I'm saying? So, like, some things you need to internalize. And I just want to say, like, you know, we've talked about the fact that, yes, there's this pressure. We've talked about the fact that, you know, these years that are, like, in our late 20s. Yeah. We like, when you look back, you're going to, and I always use the example of school, right? Like, you know, when you're in high school, when you're in college, like, you think that an extra year, taking a year off is so big. So, but the thing is, the year will come anyway. Bro, when we look back, if you took a year in addition to high school, that would be nothing, right? Like,
bro, I'd be 28. Okay.
Yes!
Big deal. Okay, time will still pass. So
Don't
give yourself
stress.
that freedom, especially now during these formative years. Yes, I know the biological clock is ticking, but also that's a whole nother video about children. We'll not talk about exactly.
You know, there's so many things you can do, like
exactly. But the thing is, live your best life while you can. Get as much education as you want to get. Travel as much as you want to travel.
Yes!
All the relationships you want to fix. Become your best self. You know, reach that goal weight. Whatever you want to do it. You know what I mean?
And honestly, like, guys, to be very honest, I definitely thought I was going to be one of those people who wasn't really going to get married early at all. Like, I thought it was going to be, like, a good 33. I thought it was going to be, like, a late one. And it didn't really bother me that much. Like, it's just something I just felt like, because my thing is, like, I'd rather, like, the difference between marrying when you're 33 and when you're marrying when you're 23 is, like, that's a 10-year difference. But if you really are going to be married forever, like, it doesn't really matter. Like, so that's how I always saw it. You know, in terms of, like, kids, which is a real thing because I do want kids, like, I mean, I was worst case scenario, I can freeze my eggs. Like, that's not the end of the world,
that's
you know?
True.
But I don't want to make a decision for about the rest of my life just because I'm, like, rushed. You know, like, yes, I want kids, but I'm not willing to just, like, have kids with whoever is moving just because I want to get married by a certain time, or I want to have kids by a certain time. So, like, you know, and me, I was open enough that, like, hey, if I have a guy and I'm able to have kids before time, if not, and I have to do a sperm donor situation, like, it is what it is. You know what I'm saying? So it's like, and I'm not saying if that's not your values, if that's not something that you want to do, that's okay. But just know that there are multiple options. You know, like, for marriage, hopefully, is something that's forever. So you don't want to rush that based on like your current, you know, oh, I need this now, or I want this now, so I'm going to make a lifetime decision because of it. You know?
Yeah. I think for me personally, I realized, like, I'm not about to, just like you said, marriage is a very permanent decision if you want to do it that way, if you intend on staying married, right? But, like, I haven't even trusted myself to make other big major decisions. Now I'm about to make this big super one about a foreverhood. No, what about, like, oh, I'm gonna make the decision to move, I'm gonna make the decision to go to this school, I'm gonna make the decision to, like, focus on this career path or start a business, whatever. Like, I want to be able to trust that I can make these big decisions and see them through to the end and, like, be committed in my own right before I ask myself to even meld my life with someone else, right? Like, I think, yes, I'd love to, you know, go into that partnership of a marriage, but it's just not that, it's not that deep. It's not that deep.
It's not worth, like, throwing the rest, because the thing is, like, being married, like, you might feel like it sucks to, like, lay in bed and be alone and not have someone to be alone. But do you know what's worse? Like, and I haven't experienced this by God.
Yeah, let's hear it.
From talking with people, like, what is worse is to be married and
feel that way.
Yes, and still feel alone. And it's so funny because, like, you know, because of quarantine and corona, like, a lot of people have been getting divorced. A lot of people are looking at their spouse like, damn, I hate you. And like, but some people also looking at their spouse like, damn, I actually
I
love
really
you.
love
Like,
you.
And I realized, like, I looked over at myself and was like, you know what?
I
actually, yeah, I'm like happy with my choice. But like, do you know how like how heavy it would be to realize, damn, I messed up.
Exactly.
You
You
know?
literally need to make sure that this person that you're with is the person you would ride through the apocalypse with.
Yeah.
You don't want that person who's only good when times are good.
Yeah.
And you don't want to be that person. Also
Yeah.
think about yourself. If you're only good when times are good, you're trash. Nobody wants to be with you. Like,
That
sorry.
relationship's gonna fall apart
Yeah.
so quickly.
So come on, work on yourself before you decide to come on work on something that's permanent. And literally, I think getting married is the most permanent thing besides dying and getting a tattoo. Literally. I mean, you could get a tattoo removed. I mean,
Yeah,
you could
you
technically
could.
get a divorce, but
that
again,
mess, like, it's not like being divorced is not the same as like never having been married. Like, I think it takes a toll
and
on
people
you.
say that they feel like failures.
Yeah,
Like they
which
feel
is
like
sad.
failures. Exactly. Imagine if you've been in a relationship, right? Even breaking up hurts. Imagine getting a divorce.
Yeah.
That is literally like, can you imagine what that does to your self-esteem?
It does a lot.
And
like,
unfortunately, a lot of the times, the things that people get divorced over, if we take infidelity out of it, but let's put it back in, actually, those are things that are controllable. You can control not being unfaithful. You can control, having money problems and arguing over money. You can control the fact that, oh, I wanted to have kids, but he didn't. Did you not realize, like, you're not about to change this person's mind because he put a ring
those are
on it?
conversations you should have had.
You should have
And
had.
people don't change. People rarely change for the better when they get married. People often change for the worse. Like, there are exceptions, and there are times when, like, you actively work on yourself and become better. But the natural state is for people to get worse. Like,
Yeah,
if someone-
entropy, y'all. Entropy is
like,
a
if someone
science.
doesn't work out, they're not gonna, like, all of a sudden start when you get married. Like,
No.
it's gonna get worse. They're comfortable now. They got you. It's in the bag. Like, so you just need to think about that. They actually were doing a special on The Real, and I didn't really watch it, but I saw this. They were talking about how, like, oftentimes people, like, someone who divorced on the panel was saying, and they said, speaking to a lot of people who were divorced, they realized a lot of people who got divorced knew within the first year that this wasn't gonna
Lord.
work. And
You
it's
see
like,
that?
yeah, so it's oftentimes, sometimes it's things that it's like, marriage will not fix a relationship. That's not the way. And I also don't want to preach that, like, okay, there aren't real reasons for people to get divorced. Like, there are real
for
reasons,
sure.
But, like, we're just saying that, like, don't let one of your reasons be like you rushed into it. Just because of outside pressure. Because those aunties and uncles aren't going to be in your marriage with you. They aren't going to sleep on your marriage bed with you. They aren't going to push out those kids with you. They're not going to go through the financial troubles with you. So don't use them as a reason to step into anything.
Also, just look at their marriage.
that alone made me not want to get married.
I'm saying that's where I am at this point now. I'm like, it's far more often that I'm seeing things that haven't worked out rather than things that have. And right now, it's like there's no reason. Like, life is so good. Why am I gonna pressure myself to get into something that I'm absolutely not ready for, just because I want to appease other people's? Like, these people are not gonna be there when the going gets tough. It makes absolutely no sense. But I know the pressure could really weigh you down. It gets to you. It really gets you for different one reason or another. For some reason, women's value is tied to whether or not they are linked to someone else.
But don't let that be you. Honestly, like, for me, like, I definitely think, like, my partner has made me better. I appreciate him and I learn more from him each day. But my self-worth is not tied to who I'm in a relationship with. I'm sorry, like, I'm me.
You are the bag.
Yeah, like,
You're the bag.
I don't want to say that to my man. I don't want to, like,
I mean, she's the bag though.
Yeah, but
they bring a dowry for a reason.
thank you.
There's
you know
a bride
what I'm
price
saying?
for a
You know, like,
reason.
men have value too. I'm not trying to say
that's
that, but
true.
I'm just trying to say, like, girl, you like, marriage is not gonna make you more. No, like,
it's gonna be you the same way you were not married in the marriage.
Thank you.
Literally nothing changes except for a title, a certificate, and perhaps a band on each of your fingers. But besides that, it's still gonna be you and that person to the very end, hopefully, right? So work on being the best version of yourself, so that if you're drawing away from that, if you're becoming worse over time, at least you have something good to grow back towards.
And the last thing I would say is just, like, oftentimes we look at what we're in, we're like, oh, how do I know they're the one? It could be other people, it could be this, it could be that. Like, for me personally, and I always wondered, I'm like, how do I know it's the one? Especially knowing all I've known about, like, African marriages and how they tend to fall apart, like, dramatically and into the gutter, and there's nothing left but ashes. But, like, how do I know this person's the one? And honestly, generally, you will have that piece about you.
Yes,
this person is the one.
that is it. Oh my god, I literally said that. I was like, your heart doesn't feel like it's like, even people talk about butterflies, but peace is better than the butterfly.
That's a video. Let's not get into that because I do want to talk about that. Honestly, like I do not like butterflies is not what you should be looking for in a relationship. That's it. But that's the whole another video. I'm not getting into that.
But that's all that we have for you guys. Thank you guys for watching.
Thank you so much for watching. Hopefully we'll give more of this content with us actually being in the same space.
I know, amazing. But thank you guys for watching. We hope you'll stick with us for the next one. Bye.
Bye, guys. Okay.
That was good. That was fun.